Welcome to the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. This is your go-to resource for personal growth, mastering communication, and influencing and persuasion techniques that will help you unleash the full potential of yourself and others. Here is your host, Alex Morgan.
What if I told you that most of the things you take personally actually have nothing to do with you? The comment, the side-eye, the criticism, it's not a judgment. It actually may be a mirror. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing the truth about why taking things personally is not only exhausting, it may actually be a missed opportunity for growth, clarity, and an opportunity for you to take your personal power back. So let's talk about fixing the mirror, creating inner peace, and seeing your reality as it is, or as close to it is as possible, and not you or someone else's ego you're seeing it as. So my name's Alex Morgan. Welcome to another episode of the Hyper Growth Zone podcast. I'm a master trainer of hypnosis and NLP, and we're going to be talking about some different reasons here why you should not take things personally. The first one, perception is projection. Fix the mirror. So what do I mean by this? What is perception is projection? So chances are you've probably been around someone and they keep complaining about a bunch of different people. And they think everyone's angry, everyone's upset, everyone's doing things to them. So is that really possible? Is their reality really like that? Or are they angry on the inside? Are they upset on the inside and they're creating that mirror around them? So when that person gets offended, it's often because something within them is resonating with the criticism or what they're seeing. Whether or not it's true or not, it doesn't matter. The unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real or imagined. So when we react a certain way to others, or others react a certain way to us frequently, then it's probably a reflection of what we haven't faced in ourselves. So this is your mirror. Instead of lashing out or getting upset or having negative emotions about it, you can ask yourself, when did I decide to create this? How did I decide to create this? It's probably a question you haven't asked a lot of times. How did I decide to create this? Because if you ask why, you're just going to give yourself a bunch of excuses. So if you ask, how did I decide to create this, is going to probably put you at cause, meaning this is going to give your personal power back to you, not to other people, showing you that you have choice. So when I'm talking about projection and fixing the mirror, you can be pretty sure that something is a projection when you have negative emotions about it. So if someone is saying something, doing something, making a comment, and it's just frustrating you, it's irritating you, it's making you so mad. Have you ever heard people say that? That person makes me feel a certain way. Chances are they have to fix the mirror. So don't take things personally. Fix the mirror. Grow. Make changes. Instead, you have choices. Ask yourself, how did I decide to create this? Now, when I work with people, the thing that's interesting is I notice different mirrors when I work with people. I may notice a mirror of the past. So someone is saying something to me, and it's a mirror of something that I've already resolved. Really interesting. So that's probably why they came to see me. I can help them do that. Or I may be working with someone, and they're talking about something that I may be going through at that same time. So it's a mirror of the present. So I can help them with that, help them with their mirror of the present. I'm noticing it's a mirror of the present. They don't necessarily know that about me. Or I may see a mirror of the future. Someone is working through something that I haven't worked through yet. Now, the wonderful thing about recognizing all these mirrors, and you may recognize this when you speak to people, is if you see someone like that in front of you and they have a mirror and you work on resolving that, or you help them resolve that mirror, regardless, you're resolving it inside of yourself. So if I can help someone, even with a problem that I haven't had yet, chances are I'm not going to have that problem because unconsciously I've worked together with someone to get rid of it. So that's another really interesting thing about the mirror. So this is really important. Don't take things personally because it's probably you that you're actually lashing out at. It's the mirror. It's the reality you're creating. You're seeing that mirror all around you. So be consciously aware of that as much as you can. And you'll start to see that your reality changes and you'll start to create and design different things once you work through that mirror. So, number 2, don't take things personally because people are probably acting from their own wounds, their own insecurities, their own problems. They're projecting their mirror. So most of the time when you're around people and they're making comments and taking actions and you maybe think, why are they saying something like that? Those words, those actions are probably more about them than they are about you. Especially if you know you're a compassionate person, you're kind, you're out there to help others, to love others, to feel joy. Why would you need to take something personally from someone about a comment that they're making that you would never make yourself? So that's something that you can check. If you hear someone saying something and you see them do something and you're like, would I do that? It's almost like try the hat on. Would I do this? Is this something that I would say? If it isn't, don't even worry about it. This is probably their fear, their insecurity, and you have to understand that other people's past experiences, their past programming, their past memories, their beliefs, how they motivate themselves, all this internal programming, all this unconscious programming is how they behave. And so it may be, even if you don't know a person well and someone says something to you, you may just be in their path that day. So if you can recognize that, that is probably going to diffuse any unnecessary emotional charge that it has on that. So remember, if someone is doing something and it's not something that you would say, it's not something that you would do, why take it personally? Because you wouldn't even consider that in your reality. Have someone ever asked you, this has happened to me so many times. This has probably happened to you too, if you think about it. Someone asks you, they're like, why is that person doing that? How can they even do that? And I'm always thinking, well, just because our mind doesn't go there doesn't mean that theirs doesn't. However, if we can't wrap our mind around their action, then why take it personally, what they're doing? If we could never envision ourselves doing something like that, there's no point in taking it personally, especially if it's something that was negative. Now, if someone's doing something really, really good, you may want to take it personally and be like, how do I get all that success from them? And be curious, ask them questions, try to understand what they're doing. So obviously with good, beneficial things, get curious. No need to take that personally. No need to be jealous or have any sort of envy or think that they're greedy and you're projecting that on them. Instead of projecting that, you can think, how can I be really, really curious? And ask them questions. What do they do in their mind to create that? So the third thing is not everything requires a reply. You don't need to have a response to everything. So taking things personally, it's a reaction. However, a reaction isn't the same as response. When you train yourself to not take an action right away, pause before you think or do something. We're always thinking, so we're not necessarily stopping thinking. And you don't absorb every comment or feedback or something critical from another person. you can reclaim control of your emotional power. This is how you can create inner peace. So if you pause, you don't need to respond. I know there's so many times I've heard people say all kinds of crazy things, do all kinds of crazy things. I just look at them and I'm like, wow, yeah, that really happened. And you're almost like, I can't even believe it. However, if you don't give a reaction and you don't have a response, do you think the person doing that is going to keep doing that if they have no response? Because maybe this person is doing that to get a reaction or a response. Or maybe they're doing it for some other unconscious benefit that they're not aware of. And when they don't get that reaction, maybe they're the ones that end up taking it personally instead of you. So there's no need to always respond. Think about what you can feel instead. That's a really good question to ask. Instead of responding and feeling something that I normally feel, what do I want to feel instead in these situations? Peace is a good one. I mentioned that. Maybe you want to feel calm, confident, relaxed. Maybe you want to feel focused. Maybe you just want to be in a nice state inside, just focusing on your own thoughts, because that's what you can control. You can't control the responses, the words, the actions of other people. You can certainly influence them by how you feel and what you say, because if you don't respond and you don't react, they may have a different reaction next time, or maybe they don't say that again because of the way you did. So you can definitely influence people. You just don't want to be reacting to them, because guess what? They may do it again and again. The fourth thing is, if you take things personally, it may block certain things with your communication and your growth. So something I mentioned earlier, curiosity. When you take things personally, you're not going to be as a curious person as you can be or want to be, or how much you intend to be. Because if you're taking things personally, you're probably thinking in a more defensive way instead of open-minded and curious and having a willingness to ask questions and learn. Because if you get feedback from people or you're asking questions, even if it seems like they're saying things that you don't really want to hear, then if you're never asking those questions, you're never going to find out. Sometimes if you're curious, you find the answer faster. So think about it. If you are taking things personally, you may be building a wall around some of your relationships in your career, at work, with your family, with your friends. If you're taking things personally from them, especially the people you're closest to, they're probably going to keep doing things to get a reaction out of you. I know in my family, there's certain people who have sarcasm, and they'll keep using that sarcasm as long as they get a reaction out of you. So I learned to use sarcasm too, to go back at them. And then all of a sudden, they didn't want to use it as much anymore. So you have to get really curious about, hey, what makes them kind of tick? What's going on inside of their mind? And that helps you grow. And that helps you then influence a situation. So a lot of these things go together, and that's bringing up influencing again. So if you fix the mirror and you are really confident about who you are and you took your personal power back, there's no need to blame, take things personally, anything like that. You can start to influence and manipulate in a good way so everyone benefits around you with your communication, with your growth, with your curiosity. So the fifth one, don't take things personally, because you may be wasting a ton of energy on stories that you're telling yourselves and not the actual truth. Because taking things personally, it's almost like you're mind reading. Oh, that person has a problem with me. That person feels like this. They said this, so it must mean that. They did this, and that makes me do this. Guess what? You're giving your personal power over to someone. You're making a story up. These stories, all you're doing is wasting your mental capacity, your emotional capacity. It may cause stress, anxiety, and other things. And if you're stressed, you're not using your mind, your thinking, your brain, your emotions, your focus, your suggestions, your thoughts to its full effect. You're barely using probably even 20% of it. And most of the time, when someone is saying something and you're taking it personally, they may not even mean it that way. This is just a fictional story that you're telling yourself. So instead of making stories up in your mind, ask questions, be curious, clarify what's going on, or let it go. There's no point, because you have enough stories from your past programming that you have to deal with already. If that's something that you want to do, we're already living inside of our heads, telling ourselves stories about stuff that we do. Why do we want to also tell stories about what other people are doing? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. So there's no point in going through all of this and telling yourself a story that that person maybe didn't even intend. Clarify with them what they actually meant. Ask them questions, because a lot of times people are communicating how they expect to get communicated to, or they are saying things that they think are completely fine. And what if you never speak up? What if you never ask a question and ask them, how do you think another person would feel in that situation? Or why is it that you say something like this? I'm just really curious. Or, hey, what did you mean by that? I'm just really curious. How specifically did you think someone was supposed to take that? What would happen if you said it a bit differently? Do you think that they would maybe change if you asked in a nice, curious tone? And then you'll get to see their reaction. And maybe they meant something completely different. So there's many more reasons why you don't want to take things personally. But the ones here I think are really, really important, especially fixing that mirror. Because if you think about it with the mirror and taking things personally, can we really be sure of how someone sees the world if it's just a projection of us? We can't really be so sure, can we? So fix the mirror and notice when you're around people. Notice what mirror is there. The mirror of the past, the mirror of the present, the mirror of the future. And if it's the past or the present, guess what? You already worked through something like that, or you can work through that with them right then and there. And if it's a mirror of the future, get really curious and help them too, because that will help you resolve something to you that hasn't even happened yet. I mean, I think that's pretty cool, don't you? So if you get negative emotions about something, chances are it's the mirror, and chances are you're taking something personally. So see what negative emotions are coming up and ask yourself, what do I want to feel instead? Or ask yourself, when did I decide to create this? What can I learn from this and have it be something really, really positive, or a few things that are really positive about you and the future so you can make changes? And what do you want to feel instead? And this will help you resolve a lot of the mirror, and you won't have that same effect. Or get curious and ask that person questions, because there's no point in taking something personally except something you do when you can make the changes. If you're taking something personally, that should be your mind telling you to make changes and for you to figure it out and for you to build that deep rapport with your unconscious mind, so solving things and thinking new things is easy and effortless. Because then you start to give yourself new suggestions, and those suggestions lead to thoughts, which lead to emotions, which lead to focus and a whole new reality where there's no need to ever take anything personally ever again. Now, maybe that seems impossible because we do have some sort of emotional charge to something, but this is where emotional mastery comes in. Can you truly control your emotions? I'm not sure if you truly can, because it's something that we control. It's like energy and motion, emotions. We're going to feel them anyway. But it's the response that we get. It's the story we tell ourselves, the suggestions. And when we feel that emotion, what is something else that we can focus on to create a new reality. So definitely share this with someone who will benefit. If you haven't already, go ahead and rate the podcast wherever you are listening. I really appreciate everyone who's been listening lately, people who have also reached out to me and given me feedback. I really appreciate you as well. And thanks so much for sharing it, because people have reached out to me as well, saying that they're sharing this with people that they know because they think it can really help them. So if you want to work on that mirror and you want to be the best person that you can be, you can also work with me. Go ahead and reach out. All my information will be in the description of the episode. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you on the next episode.